What's up, guys? So I've been getting a question a lot about, how to play the gaps. So I'm gonna go over a couple strategies that I've used, and then my favorite one I'll start off with is the retest strategy. I'll use Apple here for an example. So for Apple, I had puts under 165, calls over 167.3 for today, and we noticed gap down off open, hard reclaim. So my personal rule, don't trade in those first 15 minutes. Cool. So we get to, those 20 minutes. I'm not going to take a trade here on this candle. As we see, don't really have any defined risk. I want to see the retest of that 165 put trigger. So we do get the retest. This one closes above actually at 165.03. So you could have taken calls, would have been a very, very quick scalp. But this right here closes at 165.2. Right, which is right above our call trigger, but we know that what type of candle this is, right? That is a nasty doji at the top, near a resistance, previous support. So I'm confident in taking puts on this candle. The next candle retests at 165, and then we get our drop throughout the day. I really like this strategy, and it's helped me a lot just waiting on that retest, right? Even when SPY gapped down $10, what was it, last Thursday, it still had that retest of levels, right? And most of the tickers didn't gap down $10 like SPY did. So we still have that ability to play the retest, and I like that a lot. If we gap up, on the other hand, we know that the momentum is probably with whatever side we either gap up or gap down to, right? So in that case, I'm gonna be looking for puts, but I want to see how it reacts to that put level. If it, it reacts and we start to overcome that put level, test it, consolidate on that level, I'm cool entering calls there. But I want to keep my risk management still pretty tight. And I think that really helps when it comes to playing gaps up and down, is just waiting and a little bit of patience. The question was asked about, what if we miss the big move, right? That's okay. Wait on the retest. Most of the time when we do get the bigger move, it is off the retest. And I also have a defined risk to reward. I like playing that more than I do, just FOMOing into a position. And I think it helps not only with the discipline, but also with a defined risk to reward and where my next targets are, right? So I like that a lot. The next strategy is the ORB strategy, or the opening range breakout. So for this strategy, I'm going to remove all of these current drawings. And what I'm going to do is, on a gap down, flip over to the 15. I take those first 15 minutes off, right? So it makes sense to me. Let's see, where is this opening candle? So opening candle right here, 9:30. Cool. So what I'm going to do is just use the highs and lows of this candle. Let's see, high 165.53, cool. And the low 164.2. All right, cool. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait on a 5-minute close above or below those levels and use those as my call and put trigger, right? So if we notice here, these levels are respected pretty well, and then we get that close below that 164.2, nice break to the downside. I like using this strategy a little bit more when there's a very, very big gap, maybe 5%, 3% on these bigger names. And it just helps me to give a defined area or a defined call and put trigger when those levels have been completely washed. When it comes to entering into this play, it's going to be the same thing as a normal, but I'm just going to use that 164.2 as a put trigger and 165.54 as a call trigger. And this, it just gives me that defined area to enter into. And as I say, I like this better when it comes to bigger gaps or a place where there's no real levels that we've watched or had drawn out. I think this strategy can be helpful, but I do prefer that retest method. The last strategy that I really use for the indices, SPY, QQQ, etc., would be I use pre-market highs and lows. I don't use this on normal tickers, but I do use it on SPY and QQQ, as they do tend to respect these levels a lot better than others. So first thing, flip on this extended trading hours. And we're just going to look, what are key levels? I'm going to remove this level. 428 has been a big level, so I'll keep that. That was just one that I've been able to trade off a lot. As we see today, respected very, very well. But in terms of highs and lows, I'm going to use 430.75 right here, which would be the low, 7.6. Cool. And then I'm going to use this level that's hit multiple times as my call trigger at 432.5, it looks like. 432.5. Cool. So I'm going to use those as my call and put triggers. I like this a lot with indices. I am going to make note of this 434.25 as it could be a very big level to break. I like that a lot. All right, so then when it comes to actually executing, I'm going to do the same thing. Wait on a 5-minute close above and below the levels. As we see here on the 5-minute, that 432.50 level respected very, very well in the trading day. So is that 430.75 level. Bounce off it multiple times, tested a couple times here and there. So it works a lot. Let's look at QQQ as well. Remove all of these. Nice little descending wedge here. Remove this, flip over to the 15, and we're just going to look at these extended hours. So as we see here, the high is definitely 340.1 of this candle, 340.11, and then it looks like 341.50 is another big level up above that, so throw that in. For a low, 338.4, big level here, throw that in as well. Now, I'm going to flip over to the 5-minute for my actual day of the trade. Like that a lot. See how it's respected. This 341.5 level, we did test here early off open, but that 340.1 level was definitely the big one to watch. More times it was hit in our pre-market trading. So to me, that signifies a bigger level, and I'm going to use that as my call trigger. Very, very good spot to enter into puts here. Could have entered puts on this nasty candle. I take the first 15 minutes off, not going to enter in that. I get my retest, nice. Closes below that level at 338.4, test it multiple times. We see it test multiple times throughout the day before finally closing over that 338.4. Nice little push back up towards that 340.1 level, and then, we're falling off here towards the end of the day. But those are the three strategies I really use when it comes to playing gaps. Retests are my favorite. If I'm going to trade SPY or QQQ, I really like using pre-market highs and lows because it does tend to respect these levels a lot better than normal tickers do. Like that a lot. And then the ORB strategy can be helpful when it comes to bigger gaps or levels that we haven't really seen, that 5%, 3% on the bigger names, even a 10% like we had on SPY last Thursday. So those are three ways I really use it. And then once we do define the levels, the entry and exits are all the same. Just play it normal, but that way it gives us some better put and call triggers based off of more recent events.